Now, 10, 11 years ago, I considered buying real estate in Berlin because prices were very, very low. But unfortunately, I never went through with it. And to this day, I do regret it. And I think it's the biggest mistake I ever made. Because if we look at prices 10, 11 years ago in Berlin compared to now, they have actually shot up. So the average price of a property in Berlin 10 years ago was about 1,700 euros per square meter. But as of September 2021, we were looking at nearer 5,200 to 5,300 euros per square meter. So prices in effect in the last 10 years have actually trebled. And if we look at particular areas, this reflects what has happened. So in Mitte, prices in 2011 were around 3,000 euros per square meter, or even just under, but they're now around 8,500 to 9,000 euros per square meter. Charlottenburg was actually just under 2,000 euros per square meter, and Charlottenburg is one of my favorite areas of Berlin. I love the properties there. But properties now are actually from just under 2,000 euros per square meter to around 5,500 euros per square meter. The biggest increase has actually been in Tiergarten, where property was 2,000 euros per square meter back in 2011, and it is now around 7,300 euros per square meter. And you could have actually bought in another area of Berlin, Tempelhof. Okay, not very central, but nevertheless, prices 11 years ago were less than 1,300 euros per square meter in a major city, and they're now over 4,000 euros per square meter. I think they're around 4,300 to 4,400 euros per square meter. And the lesson I did learn from this is that if you do spot an opportunity, really go for it, because these opportunities don't come around that often. It's very rare for property to actually treble in 10 years, in particular in a major developed country. But anyway, now let's look at Berlin going forward. I want to look at advantages and disadvantages of buying in Berlin. Let's have a look at the advantages first. So Berlin is obviously the capital of Germany. It is the largest economy in Europe. It's a very stable country. Germany's politically stable, economically stable. Number two, let's look at Berlin, population growth, and that's quite good. So back in 2010, the population, according to macro trends, was 3,450,000 people. In 2020, this had increased to 3,567,000 people. And by 2035, it is expected to increase to around 3,640,000 people. But actually, this is on the more conservative side. If you look at other estimates, it's considered that Berlin will actually grow by more than this. And of course, this is good news for the property market. Plus, of course, combined with population growth, not too much has been built in Berlin, so this should keep the prices high. Number three, I want to compare Berlin with two other major capitals in Europe, namely London and Paris. So in London, salaries are actually 30% higher than Berlin, but properties are actually twice as expensive. And if you compare, let's say, Berlin to Paris, salaries in Paris are around the same as Berlin, but property is at least twice as expensive. Although it has to be said that population density in Paris is a lot higher than Berlin. Number four, I just wanted to say in Germany, there's no capital gains tax if you sell your property after 10 years. And number five, Berlin is the best city for startups in Europe and has actually overtaken London. Tesla chose Berlin as the site for its first European factory. So all this augurs well for the Berlin property market going forward. But I'm now going to give you what I think are major disadvantages of investing in Berlin. So let's have a look quickly at Germany. GDP growth has been really sluggish in the last few years in Germany. So if we take the years 2015 to 2019, GDP growth has been between 0.56% and 2.6% per annum. So that isn't great. Although in 2020, GDP in Germany actually only fell by 4.9%. And that's not bad given the pandemic. And very good compared to the UK, where GDP fell by 9.9%. Also, the total government debt to GDP is quite high at 70%, but it's a lot lower than countries like the UK, France, Italy, and Spain. Number two, I just want to say now, Berlin, the prices, as I've said, are not particularly low. They've gone up a hell of a lot. And do you actually want to buy in a market that's actually risen by so much? The Berlin market is beginning to look a tad, there's a little bit of froth at the top, so I'm not sure it's a good time to buy. But I've got some more significant disadvantages. So let's go to number three. The yields in Berlin are very low. So we're talking about gross yields of only around 3%. And this is the same as, it's actually lower than London, which isn't great. And it's about the same or slightly lower than Paris. So not great there. Number four, let's come to a rental income tax. So this is on a sliding scale between, if you go from 0 to 57,918 euros, it's on a sliding scale from 14% to 42% if you're a non-resident. Now, between 57,919 euros and 274,612 euros, you will pay a whopping 42% rental income tax. And anything above 274,613 euros, you'll pay 45% rental income tax. So it's better actually at the lower end, so that the more rent you're getting, you're going to pay a lot more in rental income tax. And there is also a solidarity tax in Germany. So above 82,000 euros on a sliding scale to 96,850 euros, you'll pay more tax. And above 96,850 euros, you'll pay a solidarity tax of 5.5%. So it is lower between 82,000 euros and 96,850 euros per annum, but anything above that 5.5%. So that's quite a lot. Having said that, the good thing about Germany, you can get deductions for repairs, maintenance, council rate, management fees, mortgage interest, and also travel to and from, reasonable travel to and from your property that you've rented out. So this hopefully will bring the taxes you pay down by a fair bit. Number five, and I think this is another deal breaker in Berlin, it's very, very, very pro-tenant. So in actual fact, the Berlin authorities tried to introduce a rent cap, but this was overturned by the courts in 2021. But also recently in September 2021, there was a non-binding referendum to expropriate property from companies holding 3,000 or more apartments in the city. And in actual fact, this referendum was backed by a majority of 56.4% of the Berlin population that voted. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this does show that Berlin is really, really, really incredibly pro-tenant. And that's not good if you're wanting to invest in the city. Number six, I also want to briefly talk about the buy-sell costs. And they're quite high as well. So in Berlin, each region in Germany has its own transfer tax. So as a buyer in Berlin, you'll pay a transfer tax of 6%, notary fee of between 1.2% to 1.5%, registration fee on average of 1%, estate agent fees as well of 3% plus VAT. And as a seller, you'll pay the estate agent fee of 3% plus VAT. So we're looking at buy-sell costs of between 15 to 17%. Now, they're not the highest, but they're not particularly low either. And finally, number seven, just briefly want to talk, there is quite high inheritance tax and donation tax together. So this goes on a sliding scale from 7% to 50%, depending on your circumstances. So do please get legal advice on that. So what's the conclusion here? Unfortunately, my conclusion is that, 10 years ago, it would have been an amazing investment. I missed out on it. And I don't think now is a good time to buy in Berlin. It's not the worst. I know it gets a lot of bad publicity, but it's not the worst place. but I wouldn't buy here, not least because the place is very pro-tenant. It's not a place where you want to be a landlord. And yeah, there could be some capital gain in the future, but there are better markets out there. Anyway, thank you for watching today. Please let me know your thoughts. Did you invest in Berlin? Did you make a lot of money? Are you still considering investing in Berlin? Would love to know your thoughts. Anyway, that's it for today. Please do click like on the video because it helps get this video out more to more people on YouTube. And I'll see you very soon on the next video. Thank you and bye for today.